you want me to open
No,
this?
I was going to say start.
Okay. All right. So you guys, for those of you that don't know, Kara is our presidential diamond, and she has an account like we tell everybody to do when there's a deal. And she signed her husband up, and she took his account to presidential, which is absolutely amazing. It was so much hard work, Justin. You'll tell us all about it. But we're so excited. And so tonight he's going to share just his experience with the business, what he thought when he first, when she first brought it to his attention, and how his views have kind of changed, how he's grown. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're just so pumped to hear this. And you guys put your screens on if you can, because we like to see your faces, not your names. And we can't wait to see all the spouses that are on this as well, because we know that a few of you guys have spouses joining, which is super exciting. So, all right, Justin, go ahead, introduce us, tell us what you do for life, for a living, and then we'll start with questions.
Okay. Kara and I grew up here in Marshall, and we just started a family, and once it started, it just kept going. So she went and got her degree and became a teacher,
Yeah, we're a little delayed. Sorry, Stacy. Go ahead.
It's okay.
So she became a teacher, and I grew up on the farm and always had cattle and livestock and did that thing. Country boy, didn't do anything with the internet, social media, any of that kind of stuff. I mean, I really had no idea about it. So she introduced me to all that kind of stuff, and we'll get more into that, and I'll tell you guys how it's opened my eyes a lot to, it's a big world out there, and there's a lot to it, and that's what it's going to. I mean, this is what it's going to, and if you don't get on board with doing stuff like this, then you're going to be left behind, because the future is definitely in the internet.
Yeah, that's so true.
That is so true. You guys, Justin is a cattle rancher for during the day. I don't even know. He wakes up, Kara's like, he's up at 4 a.m. So Justin is a super hard worker himself. They both are business owners. So when she came to you, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, is it 5? Okay, so when she came to you 5 years ago and she was like, I think I'm going to do this thing, what did you say?
Yeah.
What was how'd you react?
So when all of it started, she's like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. And I'm like, okay, what? And I just really didn't pay much attention to it, and she kept talking about it. And she did a lot of research before I ever had any idea that this was going on, And so I'm in the shower one night, and she comes in there and she's like, hey, you remember that thing I was talking about? And I'm like, what's that? And she goes, it works. I'm like, yeah, kind of. And she's like, well, I did it. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay. I thought you weren't going to do it. I thought it was a pyramid scheme. I didn't believe in it, and I've had friends that were in things like that. So, I was really skeptical, and still was when she did it. And then when she got going, her first paycheck or whatever, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, well, it might not last or whatever. And then she just kind of got more involved. And like you husbands, I'm telling you, I was the same way, and I was a hater on it, and it just kept going and kept going. And then she kept growing, and I'm like, whoa, okay, this is real, So that's when I became more involved I want to understand what is this business? What are the products like? What's the stability of the company? That's when I started asking questions. And I would say for you guys, if you don't know, ask more questions about what it is, because the story behind how it all started is what's really cool. And the stability of it it's there to last. I mean, Mark and Pam have got this thing going to where, all these promotions and all these things, and these half off to get into the company and all this. They're not doing that to help themselves. They're doing that to help you. And really, that's when it turned for us. When it turned for me is when I started really believing that, these people are there to help. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to help people make money with very little expense. I mean, my business takes millions of dollars to operate. And Kara, at one point, she was making so much money that I'm like, what? You know, I mean, a load of cattle would cost a lot of money, and she put a couple $100s in to get started and is making all this money, and I just couldn't believe it. So I would say that that's when I really started looking more into what the company was about and stuff like that. And I would say for you guys to do that, ask more questions about that, and then you'll understand more about that.
Yeah, so it's probably like double or triple diamond, I'd say, when I got close to 10 grand a month. So a couple of years in, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, I was like, what are you doing with your time? You know, because we had so many little kids and all this, and I'm like, hey, there would be one of these Zooms going on, and I'm in the background running around chasing kids, trying to keep them quiet, doing this and that, and you've got to be there to support them, because they're doing it. Yeah, they're doing this to help your family. You know, I mean, that's the bottom line. And you know, that is the bottom line. It's for you as a team, for your family. I mean, I don't know what goals you've set or anything like that, you know, but it's life changing once you commit to it as a partnership, because they need your support for sure.
I love that. I love it. I love that you said that you were super negative, because I also was like, I should just probably do it and then ask for forgiveness later. And that's what I did twice. And I maxed out 2 credit cards to join you guys. We didn't have a promo. I was like, it's $99. What's another $99 when I've already maxed out this $4,000 credit card? Who even cares? So, and it's totally changed our lives too. So, I mean, I'm a triple and he's my double right here. So bringing in 2 incomes is awesome too. If you don't have your spouse signed up yet, I highly suggest next promo, you're like, this is it, I'm signing them up. Or if you have the $99, or if you sell the 7 samples, like, just do it, because bringing in 2 incomes is awesome with the business. So you guys kind of touched on this, but at what point, I mean, you said you were chasing after kids after the Zoom because the girls were little when you joined. So at what point did you actually like start believing in the business and in Kara? Or like take even like asking her questions, or like saying, how's the business going? Because I feel like sometimes for Stefan and I, it was like, not that he was negative, it was like he just said, he would say like, insert comment here, like, good job. You know what I mean? And now it's different, but I'm just saying a lot of us women deal with that with our spouses, with just that support. And we want to share, oh my God, I got a distributor. Oh my God, I got a loyal customer. So at what point or like level was she, do you think, or how many years was she in that you actually like took a interest in it?
I would say she was in it for a couple of years, really, before I started really paying attention. And when it turned for me is when she started talking about, because the whole thing about this is you all are selling something, right? I mean, that's what you're doing. But when it turned for me is when it turned for her, when she started really getting involved in all of your all's lives. And she would, at night, you know, the last things we were talking about before we go to sleep was, I feel so good that I got to help this person. They bought groceries, like literally they paid for their groceries this month because of this business. And that, you know, just time after time of her talking about that, that's when it really changed for me. Was it's a lot bigger picture than what people realize. Because I mean, if you're walking down the street and you're not going to bend over and pick up $500, then you're crazy. I mean, but it really, it changed is because of the lives it was changing, you know. And when she got more involved, and that's really when her business took off, when she started getting a lot more involved in the people's lives that she was changing. It really wasn't about selling the product and this and that. Then it was just about how it was changing lives. And that's when it really turned for me. That's when I started paying more attention. And then I started, you know, I've heard a lot of your guys' names a lot of times. And, you know, I'm sure you all have heard mine, and that's what they do. I mean, they talk about it and that's their work. It's just, they're not going to an office to do it. So, I mean, they're sharing their office life, you know, so to speak, with you, but it's all, it's all virtual. So, you know, I mean, you kind of let it go in one ear and out the other at first, but when you all really start listening more about those things, I think you'll understand that there's a lot more to it than just products and stuff like that. But she started, she would always reach out to everybody that she was selling products to, and just, built relationships with a lot of people. And that's really when it turned.
Hey, Stacey, I'm going to put you on my phone instead of this so you're not as delayed, okay?
Yeah.
So give me just a second.
Okay, tell me when to go. How good is this, you guys? Drop a comment with an aha moment that he's already said. Husbands too. Or wives. Helping others. I love it. It's more than about products. You're right, Yasmin. That's why it started.
Okay. I think this is going to be way better for us because you're not going to be delayed.
Okay, let me find you. Actually, I'll just put this on. Okay. Next question. All right, perfect. And you don't look blurry. I can see you.
Cool.
Okay. You guys should have seen us at Leadership Retreat. We're like running around Kara's living room trying to get Pam on. We're following her. She has like an entourage behind her.
We don't live very far outside of town, but the internet is like, it's not very good here.
That's okay. Okay. So she was a teacher, and then she full-time blogged like forever. Like Kara, just because she was a blogger doesn't mean she was like sitting on her computer all day. Like she had to she was a crazy coupon lady. Like that's what she represented, right? So
every spare minute she was doing that.
Yeah. So at what point did you really look at this business? Because she did both of them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But at what point were you comfortable having her turn this in to her full time? Because mine was when I went double, and I was working preschool, and I mean at that point I was only paying like $300 for daycare a month, where it was $800 just with Ireland. But it's like we looked at each other and it was just like, this is stupid. Like, just come home.
I feel like there's not, you don't really know. I mean, you just got to sense it. You feel that, you know what I mean? Like when she went to the crazy coupon ladies, that was when I was like, oh my gosh, we talked about it. You're going to quit she went to college and got a college degree, and I didn't go to college. I went to the School of Hard Knocks, and I got us to where we were, and then she got out of school and did all these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But you could just tell, I mean, as a person, it was just taking so much from her and taking so much from our family that it was just the right move when she went to the crazy coupon ladies. So that was really when that was like, whoa. And then she was doing both of them, and once I just saw her attitude change, like it just made her feel like a better person. And once she started feeling that way, I'm like, go for it. And, no guts, no glory, just like you were talking about, what's another $50 or $200 on your credit card at that point? It's just real life. And if you don't go for those things, when you feel that calling, and if you really know, you just do it. And there's so much more, she just did not want to be, paycheck to paycheck. And, because there's so much more out there. And she just felt that this was the vehicle to get to the next place. And so we just, I just supported her and went along with it. And
we didn't take it lightly.
No.
I was in a kind of like when I started, you guys, I didn't start to ever quit that job, right? Like I just thought I was going to do both.
Well, I remember you were bringing in like equivalent to like probably double diamond pay there. And I was like, don't ever quit.
Yeah.
You're going to be so rich.
And then I was a double diamond too. So I was making good money because I was doubling my income, but I also had no time. And I don't know if you remember, but one time he came home and he was like, I feel like I just like see you coming and going, and like we had lost so much touch because it was like one of those moments where we're both here together, but we're not. Like we had like no emotional connection because I was working 24/7 between the two jobs.
With all the kids and the stuff at the house and everything going on, and she was the bookkeeper and the bill keeper and everything else. So it was a lot. And it still is a lot, it's not like it gets easier because the more you grow,
the harder it gets, like the more responsibility you have.
Yeah, those goals get bigger, so that's what keeps you driving. I mean, we just don't look at it like, oh, we can do that tomorrow. No, look, we just do it. We just do it today, and that's just what we do. And that's just kind of, I mean, it's really simple. Once you feel like that's what you're supposed to do, you just know it and you just do it.
That's good. I like that you didn't choose like a certain income or a certain rank.
No, we've never put a dollar amount on anything that's like, what makes you happy? It's not a dollar amount. Really, it comes down to, how can you be happy with your family? Like, if you sit there and watch your wife and she's just like completely exhausted and completely drained, that's when, you got to step in, because you can tell. You're like, okay, I gotta step up here. I gotta step up here. But it starts becoming more and more, it just gets overwhelming. And when it does, you're just like, this is just too much, this is just too much. And when we got to that point, I'm like, just do what makes you happy. And then she just completely changed as a person. So it was just a lot easier,
It's all that personal development she does.
Personal development. Yeah.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah. Well, you guys think that's BS, but yeah, when you get to that, I'll share some stuff with you there.
Okay. Yeah, all the voodoo, Katie.
Voodoo. Yeah, that's what you used to call it, was our voodoo.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
You guys,
so
if you have
go ahead.
If you have a skeptical person, I've heard it all. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Justin hasn't always been this way. We've had many conversations. But a question, take yourself back to when it was busy, when she was blogging, she was doing this. Like, when did you realize that the time that she was investing in this was actually worth it versus, like, I know that you said like there wasn't a dollar amount, but like, did you support her? Because a lot of us, I feel like, struggle with that mom guilt or that wife guilt when we have to get on Zooms and we have to do this and we have to do that. And it's like, some of our husbands are needy. Thank God Stefan isn't. I can like get him a new video game and like not see him for the next month, which is fine. And if you're in that situation, like literally I went triple and I was like, you go buy that, just go. And I would like work forever, and it worked for us. But like, what is your schedule like, I guess, like then versus like now? I know this wasn't on script, but I'm just curious.
When it went, I'll tell you, it got really awkward for a while. And I think you guys will see that, my business would go up and down. The cattle market, you just never know what it's going to do from one day to the next. The pandemic comes out, it crashes the market. Your net worth's a lot less, you're like, whoa. Well, I think there were times that, and you guys will feel this because you guys are like, I'm the provider. I'm the one, I'm the guy. I mean, it's just a macho thing, and you've got to come to realize that you all are a team. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you have to support her. She's going to make more money than you, and you want her to. I mean, you want her to make more money. That's the whole idea. So you've got to support, I still, there were so many times I'd be like, she'd talk about her paycheck coming. I'd be like, oh yeah, that's all. And I know you guys have said it. You're like, well, that's no big deal. And then time goes by and it gets a little bigger, and you're like, oh, so you did all that for that? And then then it goes again, and you're like, oh, I thought you were going to make this much. Well, they are, they're striving to get.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because for some of us that hit these larger ranks, and then like it's the ebbs and flow of the business, just like the cattle business. Like our network marketing obviously has seasons if we let them have seasons. But like for me, I haven't always remained whatever rank that I am. And I know Kara hasn't either. And we're very honest with our team with that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's really hard for husbands to see you go from like this to this and then have them understand that you can't just like quit. You know what I mean? So what advice would you give them for that?
It's completely, we've been through it, it's growing pains, and it is a season sometimes, in your all's business where it's flourishing at certain times of the year, and it goes up, and then you got to expect those fallbacks. But I tell you what, when they do have those fallbacks, it's good for them because it's a reality check. And it's so hard to climb that ladder to get to the very top, and even when you get to the very top, you see and you hear these other people making these astronomical amounts that a month, but it's happening. I mean, it just takes time to get to that point. And I think those setbacks really help you all in a way, because it's a reality check and you're like, why did it do that? Well, it's just preparing you for when you get to the next one. You're not going to let it, you're not going to let that affect you the same way. You're going to keep pushing through. So that's where the support of the spouse or, whatever, you've got to be behind. It's okay, because you're not going to, if your wife was in the middle of anything, you're going to do whatever you can do to help her. I mean, that's why you're with her. And if you're not, then you probably shouldn't be. But you've got to be there. You've got to be that rock. You have to be that rock, because they have bad days, and you've got to be there to say, it's all right. You're gonna figure it out or whatever. And then I started really looking at other people's. When I figured out like Instagram and stuff, I don't even have Facebook.
You guys used to call it Aspa.
I was not in touch with any of that stuff. So I'm like, I'm getting left behind here. So when I got Instagram, I started looking at different things on Instagram, and then I would kind of bounce these ideas off of her to help her out. I'm like, look at this. This is kind of cool.
Stephen doesn't have Instagram, but he has Facebook. So you guys are opposite.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know much about Facebook, but I love Instagram. You can see a lot of stuff. So, I mean, I started telling her different ideas and things, and she's like, that's a really good idea, because I think that it's easy to get stale in what you all are doing, because it just gets so stagnant, because you've done the same thing over and over and over and over, and you're like pounding your head off the wall. Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Well, sometimes it's something just a little bit different you got to do, or this or that, just to break it up, because you all don't leave it. You don't go to work in the morning and check out at 5 o'clock and go home. You all are with it 24/7. So what's going on all the time. So it's just you've got to be there for them in a way to kind of help bounce ideas off each other, and it'll get you over that next hump, because it did us for sure a couple times.
Yeah, for sure. So I would like follow people, and I'd be like, who's Instagram you're looking at? And I'm like, oh, that's good.
She's like, oh, are you looking at girls on there, or what are you doing? I'm like, yeah.
Shut up.
And then I'm like, look at this. She's like, oh, that is really cool. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, I will say too, Kara's always been super flexible, and like, if she sees somebody else doing something, it's like she's so quick to try it out. If it works, she shares with us. So it's like, I will say on our team, on our downliner, if you're not in our downline, that's how a leader should be. And it's like, she's so flexible doing that in her business and then sharing with her leaders, and then it's like an umbrella, and it just kind of trickles down. So it's like, and it's funny because we do something called host to post. I don't know if she's told you about it, because one time Stefan was like, you're not giving away a Louis Vuitton. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, yeah. And I was like, it's just, I paid $5 to get into it. You know what I mean? So it was
tell her ideas all the time to give stuff away.
Yeah. Like, he's so funny when it comes to that stuff. So it's like, just when our husbands see us, and there was a point in our relationship too, where I was like, just unfriend me. Like, if I'm annoying you, there's an unfriend button. Like, it'll still say married, but not to who. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like if you want to add to that, like,
I thought you bought the damn thing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here we go.
No, I'll keep it for myself. Okay. So let's talk about your guys' goals, because you guys have done so much in 5 years. And I just love, because I've known Kara since she was Emerald. I was Ruby on the cruise. We didn't know anybody, which you guys probably thought we were crazy going on this cruise, not knowing anybody. Like, what the hell? But we did it.
We would never do that now. We always joke and say, oh my God, we would never do that now.
No, I don't know why, but like, we were just hungry back then.
I would get so upset when she would leave me to go on those things. But after the first time or two, you're like, they need that. That's the thing. The women need that because they all get together. They bounce ideas off each other.
Mm-hmm.
They see new things. They come back refreshed, and that's the thing. Everybody has to hit refresh every once in a while. So I know there's some of you guys that hunt or do whatever. You get to go refresh. You know what I mean? And just
golf trips.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, they have to have something like that. So.
And he's seen the other side now too, and so he's been like, we've hosted retreats now, and so I think you can kind of speak to that too, and like it just like opens up your eyes so much more.
Oh yeah,
I love that. I think that's great. Okay, so let's talk about, like, Kara has done so much, and I know that you have too, with like just your own business and just supporting each other. But what do you do to support each other to reach and achieve your goals? And then at what point did you start like dreaming with her? Or was that like always a thing? Because I know for us, I remember I messaged Allie Antonacci and I was like, when did your husband like really get on board? Because like I'm struggling here. And this was my second time around. And she's like, when we started talking about what we were going to do with our paychecks together. And she goes, when I literally sat him down and would say like, what are we going to do with our next $20,000 paycheck? And for Stefan, he's someone that needs to see it to believe it. I don't know if he loves Santa, but like for some reason he believes in Santa, but he doesn't believe in a $20,000 paycheck because they haven't made it yet. So at what point did you guys like start dreaming together, if there was a point, and then talk about some of the goals that you guys have like achieved too, and how you support each other?
I think all along we've always been that way. We've always dreamed together and talked about having this or that, but I think our goals changed when we really started. It was toys. We wanted toys and stuff, because it's like, all this extra money or this or that. But it's, when reality really sets in, you still have life to live. You never know what's going to happen. You've got to save money. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. And our whole thing changed, and then it was more, it just got bigger. We're like, we want to buy a farm, let's try to buy a farm. It was always toys and this and that. Everybody has debt. I don't care who you are. And, we're like, we just wanted to just start kicking that stuff in the teeth and just knocking it out. And it starts taking so much pressure off of you as a couple. And you actually, when you get some of that pressure off of you, then you start seeing more towards what the goals you're talking about, that they really do start coming true. You're like, whoa, this happened. But don't go set goals that are so high out there that you feel like. We set little goals at first, we're like, hey, let's do this, or as simple as just, buying a couple rocking chairs or whatever for the deck, let's do that. And then it went to the next thing. Let's can we pay for all of our groceries for 4 months? Can we have all? Then that's what we started. And then the goals get bigger, and it just changes. It just really does start changing because you're working together as a team as it's going along.
Okay, so for anybody, because you guys have that relationship that you guys have always done that, which you're so blessed that you have done that. And I'll say that we're on the same page now, or we haven't always been on the same page. But for someone who's or maybe you can touch on this too, but for anyone who's struggling with their husband, not to believe in it or see the paycheck. I know for me, it was when I was really when I put a comma in the paycheck, it was oh wait, shoot, this could pay for some stuff. You know what I mean? So what advice would you give for someone, or you, since you've transformed?
It's his interview.
I don't think it was about really believing it. It wasn't do I believe in it when the paycheck started changing? It really wasn't that. When it goes back to when I'm talking about the business, in what I do, you look at, I have relationships with people that I've never even shook hands with, that I've never met. We talk on the phone. We've done business for a long time, handle a lot of money together and do stuff like that. But it goes back to the roots of the stability of the company, and that's what you got to believe in, because the company's debt free. It works as debt free. And the things that they're putting out there, they're not putting out garbage. They're putting out stuff that they believe in. And that's what when I got behind it wasn't about the paychecks and stuff changing. It was like, what's the stability of the company? That's when you know something's real. Is it there to last? Are they really there for you? Are they going to sell off? What is it? And that's when I was like, when I figured all that out, that's when I got behind it more. It wasn't about the money changing.
Talk about like how many years was that for you? Because Kara's been in it 5 years, and a lot of people, I will tell you the truth, so many people want to come into the business and then they listen to the doubts and they listen to the fears and they don't do the self-development. They're not self-aware of all those little lies that they tell each other. Or some people, like I know some women on my team or some people who are my sideline sisters that deal with that person speaking to them, and like their biggest skeptic is their husband.
Well,
so
that's it. I mean, it went from our family, I was like, oh, don't put that on Facebook. It's a small town. Don't do that on Facebook, because I cared about what people were thinking, And so you have to get over that, because they don't, at the end of the day, it's all about what you care about and what your wife cares about. It's not about what those people think, because you're going to have naysayers all the way through, no matter what. Even when you get to the next level and to the next level, there's still going to be people that doubt what you're doing. That's just the way people are, because it's jealousy and all those things. And you just got to put that, they're not in your circle. So you gotta make your circle pretty tight, but yet just,
I don't hear you. Oh, Kara's muted. Kara, you're muted. Technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Okay.
You left and then we muted after that.
I know. I had a friend FaceTime me on accident and I pushed the wrong button.
Oh.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
You're good.
Okay, keep going.
Back to my computer.
So yeah, that's you're gonna have doubters all the time, and it doesn't matter if you're in this business or whatever you're in life. You're just gonna have doubters, but you got to get over that and just move on and don't care. It doesn't matter if you have 2,000 people in your town or 200,000 people. You're always that's just life. You got to get past that.
And,
I love that.
That's a big thing, and I feel like it's just like you guys. We had to go through those times where, like, so-and-so would see that I posted something on Facebook and call Justin and be like, I don't know if and he would be like, why did you post that? And it would be true, but sometimes when you're saying your story or saying different things, it makes other people feel uncomfortable. And I was like, block, delete, like, I don't care.
Yeah, you just have to do that. That's just the reality of it. You have to you got to prove yourself. And you wouldn't be dedicating your life to what you're doing, so it doesn't matter what they say or think. You just keep pushing forward and, send them a nice gift in a couple years or something.
That's so funny, because I'll say his sister, God love her, I had posted something like, my office is my living room or something like that. And she was going to law school. She does really well for herself. Just graduated. She's a hustler. And she posted a status that said, like, I've worked so hard for my office and da-da-da-da. Like, she really took it to heart. And I just deleted her right then and there. And it wasn't like, I don't like you. Like, I love you. You're still part of our, like, you know what I mean? But it was like, I just had like no negativity. Like, see ya.
Oh yeah. But a lot of times those people, they want to be talked to. You know what I mean? That they're really reaching out for you to actually be involved with them more. So
they want you to react.
Yeah, exactly. So then just pour it on them. Tell them all about it and say how awesome it is. That's what I like to do.
Exactly. I like it.
Like if my buddies are, when it first started, they were like, oh, this or that and this or that, and it just kept going, and finally I'd be like, oh, you want to try some? Is that what you're getting around at?
A lot of them were my customers. A lot of them are my customers.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. You just can't worry about it. That's just small stuff. So
I love it. I think that's great. I think that is so good. And I think you just have to prove it to them by continuing, because I think so many people are just like waiting for you to stop and waiting for you to fail.
Keep
and
pushing.
You just have to be like, listen, I went diamond, and then I went double, and then I went triple, and now I'm an ambassador. So take that.
Well, for sure. Consistency. I mean, you just got to stay consistent and, you know, keep grinding. Just keep grinding. And if you do hit a roadblock, which you're gonna, and some of you have a time or two or whatever, I don't know, but, you know, it's just, you know, bounce ideas off. What do you think? You know, you got to talk to people about it and figure it out and kind of get through it. But you just got to keep pushing forward. I mean, you can't sit there and think, oh man, it's just going to happen for me, because it's not. You've got to go after it. You know?
That's a good point.
That's good. Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so let's touch on self-development now, because the voodoo that we do, Justin.
Yeah.
Or that you used to think that we do. Go ahead and touch on that. Tell us what you used to think about it.
I so much thought it was BS. You know, I'm like, what is she doing? What is she watching? I'm telling you all, I'm telling men and women, if you have not done any self-development, you've done it. You just don't know you've done it, because once I really started getting into it, the best I recommend, like watching Ed Millett. That's who I have Spotify, and I get on Ed Millett, and because he pulls in some of the most, I mean, just people from all walks of life that you can watch and listen to. You're picking people's brains that have been some of the best, you know, like Phil Mickelson. He's been in golf how long? All the things. That's such a mental game that he shares what he's gone through all his life to this point. And then from somebody that's a sports agent that's helped, like Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Seahawks, to just really, really successful business people, and that have made it, like a neurosurgeon. That's one of the best ones I've heard.
So,
you know,
somebody asked whose podcast. Just remind us.
Ed Millett. You get on Ed Millett. You can go through so many different ones, and I'll click on one, and if I don't like how it starts at first, I'll just click on another one. You know. And so listen to it, but
what?
Ed Millett. So he's got to start listening.
And because there's so many different ones on there you can listen to, but they'll touch you in a way that you're like, whoa, and it'll show you that you're actually doing a lot of the things. You're just not putting them together all at one time. And once you start putting them all together at one time, things just come to you. I mean, there was a guy on there that he was successful, and his brother was not successful. He was coming out of college. He was kind of in trouble doing this and that. Pretty smart guy, just had lost his way a little bit. And his brother took him to meet this really successful businessman. They went to this restaurant, and they're sitting in the back room, you know, talking. And he said, hey, what do you want to do? And he said, well, I don't know. He said, well, take this piece of paper and write down what you want out of life. And the guy writes down, you know, I want a job to make $250,000 a year, and I want a Mercedes, and I want a really hot wife, and all these things, you know, he writes down. And the guy, he comes and reads the paper, and he said, okay, that sounds great. He says, I can help you. He says, you can help me? He goes, yeah. He goes, I can help you. He said, can you be here in 1 week? I'm going to put you through a real estate class, and it's $500. He's like, oh, I can't be here in 1 week. He said, there you already go. Do you want it or do you not want it? Like, if you want it, you will do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that's when I started listening to that kind of stuff, you know.
Don't you feel like, hey, I'm going to jump in and say, don't you?
Go ahead.
I'll ask him a question. I already know the answer. Do you feel like once you started listening to it, it affected your business and personal life?
Big time. Big time, because of like money mindset, just like what you think is what really happens. That stuff's real. I mean, you start believing. You've got to believe in what you're doing, because that's why you're doing it. And then once you really just pour yourself into it, you don't even think about it like I'm working. You know, you're doing what you like to do, and it just starts opening so many doors. I mean, you have to do personal development. If you have not done it, I mean, it definitely is life changing for sure.
I feel like he skyrocketed, you guys. So for so long I was doing it, and he was like voodoo, whatever.
And you'll get on it. I mean, you'll start doing it.
What would you tell the Justin like 3 years ago right now?
Do it sooner.
But once you start listening to some of this stuff, it'll just take you in for, like you'll have 2 or 3 or 4 days of just listening to a lot of it. And then you'll stop for a day or two because you're doing it. You're self-developing. That's what, and you have to take it all in and you have to start performing the steps. Listen to one by Shaun White. You wouldn't think, the snowboarder, you listen to that kid started when he was like 7 years old and achieved so many things. And once they get to a certain level, they just get, it's almost like nothing makes them happy. And it tells you what will change things. And you listen to all those different people and I'm telling you, you can take something from all of them and you're like, whoa, you're doing a lot of it. You're just not putting all the pieces together at the same time.
Yeah, it's life changing.
Well, I always tell like my team, I'm like, this business is like a cake and we do our daily tasks, post, message, follow up, like all that stuff. But if you're not, and I know Cammie Pentecost always says, that's Mark's daughter. She always says that she would always put self-development at the bottom. Like, if I get to it today. Well, I have completely changed like my morning routine and it's the first thing that I do. And it's like, if you don't do it when you have time or when you carve out that time, then you're just pouring from an empty cup all day. But when you do it like first thing in the morning, or at least for me, when I wake up, like today I didn't do it because the kids woke up early and the baby was up all night and I was tired. But I was tired and that's how it's been all day. But the mornings that I do make time, which is almost every morning.
Take a thermal fight.
I do. Believe me, I got my skinny coffee, my keto coffee, Thermofite, all of it. But it's like when you don't pour into yourself, then it makes it 10 times harder. And when you don't have that piece of the cake, it just like doesn't, you might be doing all the things, but if you're not believing in it with self-development, then it never turns out right.
Believing, and it's all about like your diet and stuff too. Enough water, enough sleep is huge. I started, I didn't sleep good because I had a lot on my mind. I was thinking about what I've got to do, what I didn't get done for the day, what I've got to do tomorrow, what I've got to do next week, because that's real life. All of you all are thinking about that. But if you're not getting good sleep, you're not. It's just, that's the biggest thing with self-development is just sleep is probably my biggest thing. I started taking melatonin and I sleep at night and I don't think of,
you tried the sleepy tea yet?
It's on its way.
It's on its way. Yeah.
That's good. You're going to love it.
But he does like some products you can talk about. Those like I only have like 9% left, so I'm gonna switch back to my computer.
No, that's okay.
No, yeah, I use like the Thermofite. I'll take 1, sometimes 2 a day, depending on how I feel that day. But I use the facial pads and stuff like that. I like the what is that? The lip and I use that under lip my eyes and stuff, and I don't really have to use it near as much as I used to because I'm getting good sleep.
Yeah.
Do you think that hair, skin, nails will work for him? Let's be real.
It looks like it is. It's
yeah, right here.
That's a cheap pet right here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, well we'll wrap it up because if your devices are gonna die. Okay. What things, I got 2 questions. What things do you do to help and well, we already talked about like support with like encouraging words and just like supporting, but to promote your wife's business, and then how do you encourage others to check it out?
I don't push anything on anybody. If they kind of ask about it, I go into it and tell them about it. But I'm not trying to sell them the idea to sign up or anything.
You just basically brag about what it's done for us.
I just talk about how it's changed people's lives.
Life
how many people that I know from the East Coast to the West Coast to North to South that I would have never known that. You've got to think it's just changed people's lives, literally. That's really the biggest thing about it for me. I don't try to push any products or anything like that. I just, if they ask, I tell them.
Yeah, I feel like you guys, it was a game changer whenever one time he told one of his friends, he was like, I'm just so proud of my wife, like what she's done. And I was like, you've never even told me that. And so like, if you can just like pour that in
definitely
to them, like, I feel like that's how I went triple, is with a lot of self-development. I stayed at double for 2 years and I was tired, you guys, but I just decided, I was going to make it happen. And I feel like whenever I did that, like in the process, he started to believe in me a little bit more. He saw that I was working, like, and so whenever I had that belief, it was so much easier, because it wasn't like at the beginning of my business, it was like hiding. Do you remember I would like,
Oh yeah.
I would walk down for making up the kids, and he'd be like, man, that was the longest 20 minutes putting the kids to bed that we've ever had. Because I'd be like messaging everybody back, and like, or I'd be sitting on the toilet, like not even really, like for like 20 minutes trying to work my business.
You're like, I'm sick.
Yeah. Someone once told me when I first started, put your head down and just get to work, and like your success will speak for itself. And I feel like that's what I did.
That's so true. Exactly what she did. I mean, you've got to be there to support them. I mean, you can tell the days they're not having a good day, and pat them on the back. I mean, they need that. They don't have that interaction.
It's that last week of the month.
Yeah,
that's his favorite.
It's the end of the month. I gotta do
grind.
this.
They grind.
You thank me on like the 15th of the next month, so shut up. I'll be honest. Kara, that's so funny that you say that, because when I hear him talking, or like when someone's like, what's your wife do? And like, it's like when he says it and I hear him say it, like they might not say it to us, but when you hear them talk about it, it's like, oh, that's how you really feel. Like, you know,
you didn't tell me that for years.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so last thing, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give to any of the spouses who are supporting, who are there, maybe supporting, maybe not, maybe after this Zoom they will be, but what's your biggest piece of advice for them?
I would say just don't forget how it all started. I mean, you married them or you're with them for a reason. So if they believe in it, then why aren't you? I mean, that's the whole deal. Just be there the days that they need you. And I mean, it's easy to gripe about having to watch the kids when you're ready to go to bed or whatever, when they have to get on those Zooms and stuff like that. But really, I mean, if you think about it, is it hurting you that much? It's not like they're going an hour drive or going somewhere they're right there at your house. You know what I mean? So you've got to really think about the times that you do get to have, because they've do this job, because I mean it's helped you whether you believe it or not. You've just got to start supporting more, as far as just telling them good job and stuff.
Yeah, because you guys, it is a sacrifice.
You're muted again.
You guys, I do feel like what he said, it sometimes it's a sacrifice on your spouse. I feel like, whenever you're doing this, like to a certain extent, like at first it wasn't that big of a sacrifice, but then when it became more of a full-time, it became a huge sacrifice. But it's so worth it. Like you said, it's like such a small part that you sacrifice for that. Like, because of this business, what do you feel like it's given us? I mean, I feel like just if you could give somebody like a light into their future, like if we didn't have this business, I would still be working full-time on my computer. We would never
talk to the Justins of like 2015.
Yeah, like why are you glad that like we just stuck it out and did it?
Oh,
it's not always easy.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, I'm seeing it more now. I'm seeing it a lot more
Declan
now.
Wants to chime in too.
I'm paying attention a lot more now because I'm so much more involved. I think for what it gives your family and the freedoms and things that you have. I mean, we could go anywhere we wanted to right now. Literally, we could go anywhere and she could still work. I mean, you're not going to get that doing a lot of things. You're just not. And I mean, there's no wall you can hit. You can grow as high as you want to in it. So, I mean, it's how much do you want it? How big do you want to get? Some people kind of are going to settle and they're just going to do, this is all I want, but is it? I mean, if you don't need the money, then get bigger and give it away. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just, I think once people just let it happen and it just happens, you just can't push it. It just happens. You just got to keep grinding it every day and
invest in the people.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really about the people, you guys. When you figure that piece out, like what he said earlier, it's like everything just comes together. Cause he knows lots of you guys that don't even maybe know him. Cause I'm always like, okay, this girl from New York,
I hear a lot about
or
you.
this girl from like, and some of the other people too that are involved in the business, because we're just friends with them. But there's a lot of people, you guys, he doesn't even hasn't ever met. And so, or now you have a lot, but it's just all about the people. And I feel like this business has helped both of us grow closer to God. Like we have a relationship now that we never had before with God, and it's helped our marriage. Like we didn't always have a picturesque everyone goes through crap, right? So I mean, it's just helped us realize that we give back more. Like I can see that in him. He has such more of a giving heart, and he wouldn't tell you guys this, but one day he called me and he was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm gonna be a little later. So I was driving by and this guy was on his tractor, this old man, and I turned around and I realized that he was stuck or something.
He was baling hay and his baler broke down. It was getting ready to rain. I just pulled in there and finished baling his hay, and he's like, what do I owe you? I'm like, nothing, which I've always been that way. You know what I mean? But with the self-development and with the freedoms that this business gives you and stuff like that from the money, you just have more time it really makes you start thinking about, the little things in life that, I mean, you can help people. That's the whole thing. I mean, you can help people. And I think as a whole world, we just have gotten lost to that, I mean.
It's less about me and more about what we can do for other people now. And because when you're just I feel like when you're gasping for air, a lot of people have felt like this sometime in their life. It's you just it's all about you, because you just need this to work, or you need that to work, or you need, you're the person that needs the help. You know what I mean?
That's what a lot of people come in, that's their mindset.
Yes.
And that's why we need self-development.
Yes.
So you can grow into who you're, the best version of you.
Yes.
Yep, for sure.
So true. And so I just see a lot of that in him that we didn't have before, both of us. We just have grown into such, I feel more caring people.
Yep.
So I just want to say, to tag on with you, it was the stability with the company. And so for the new people and spouses and husbands and boyfriends, they probably don't believe in the company, or we all started that way. We didn't believe in the company.
Yeah.
But do you believe in your wife? Do you believe in your girlfriend? Do you believe in your spouse? That's the one thing that you have to put in. I believe in you, whether it's the company or not. I believe in you.
Yep.
And
that's it.
Yep.
That's why you got to that point. That's why you're together. So just support. They support each other, so we got to support them.
Yeah, we support you guys.
It's a teamwork. You know what I mean?
Makes the dream work.
Yes. All right. So what's next, Justin? What are you going to do next for the business, or for your business? Are we going ambassador? Because I really think we can go ambassador, and I really want to do it before.
We have a really strong team, so I know
we do. We're both on it.
I know.
You guys, the running joke, if you're not on my team, the running joke is his account going to hit ambassador before mine, but it's not. Brooke, Morgan, Mackenzie, Kate, drop it in the chat. I keep just thinking that they're going to hit the same month. What do you think about that?
Be cool.
Nah, we're on his team.
So we just want to continue to give back. We want to buy an RV. We know exactly what we want. We have a certain savings amount. We have a farm that we want to purchase whenever God makes the time for that. We have we're going to put a pool in our house. You guys, I'm going to buy $1 million lake house. If you're on my team, you already know that, because I talked about it. And I was like,
we're going to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
And so there's just so much more I want to give back. There's just so much more to do.
Yep.
We're just getting started.
That's right. For sure.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much, Justin. You guys, Justin's going to be on Pam Souter's Show Me the Money call on Monday, so make sure you guys tune into that. This was just a rehearsal, Justin, and I think you did amazing.
I found out it is. Yeah, I was informed that this is going to be pretty interesting for sure.
Well, hey, if it counts for anything, Pam came after this did. We had this plan, and then Pam was like, that works perfect. So we're good. But that is such an honor that you get to do that.
Yep. Thank you.
We'll be tuning
it'll
in.
be cool.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
See you all.
There were over 100 and